Hey all, Kunik here, back with another story, this time from Vampire the Masquerade. Here we have a GM who really just wanted his players to roleplay. However, he didn't communicate that and ends up rage quitting the story as a result. Anyhow, let's roll for initiative and get right into the story. A few years back, I joined a vampire game with a friend through Discord. All of us randos looking for a good time. I'm not going to go into who plays what because it doesn't really matter to the overall story. But what I knew of the GM was that he was a teenager, he loved vampire, and he wanted to be an actor one day. He was also quite chatty about his enlightened status. He was oh so wise beyond his years and eager to one-up all of us. Basically, he talked the talk, but how he walked is why I'm posting this story here. We make our characters. It's time for the first session. We were told this would be an Anarch game, and in fact, it begins at the gathering of Anarchs. Ton of NPCs in the area, and as this is the first session, we're all just trying to learn who's who, what's what, and who we are and what we're doing in this place. In my experience, this is how all first sessions go. No matter how much planning I do and how long my backstory is, there's always an initial period where everyone's running around like headless chickens until something finally clicks in place. A car passes by, and people inside begin to shoot the place. Obviously, us baby vamps scatter because nobody's risking a hole in the chest. Somehow, the Anarch leader gets shot, so we get involved in that situation. Drive him someplace safe, remove the bullet, and such like. The GM is going all out with his acting at this point, moaning and groaning in pain every 5 seconds because of that one bullet. Not really something I would have expected from such a badass Anarch leader, but okay. And this happens while we're trying to investigate the situation. Were you in contact with any of your enemies or rivals recently? Who could have done this? How can we help? Etc. All of this takes place roughly an hour in real time, and suddenly, GM drops the voice call. My friend asks me if we did something wrong. I say I doubt it. We only played for an hour or so. We really couldn't have ducked up that bad to warrant a game being dropped, not even midway. No PvP, no rape, not a single hint of douchebaggery. Then we get a message from the GM saying something has happened to his sister, and they're heading to the emergency room. Crap. Okay, he definitely had a valid reason then. We all wish his sister well and tell him to not worry about the game. We can always pick it up next week. As it turns out, this wasn't the entire story. The next day or so we hear from the GM again. This time he wants to cancel the game altogether because the 4 of us failed to meet his expectations. So I asked him what his expectations were. He wanted us to act. Not as in act in character, but just act period, like he was doing with his bullet-holed Anarch leader. I think he was hoping for Critical Role, but with vampires. At no point had he voiced his expectation or even asked if this was something we liked to do. In 1 hour, he decided that we were not good role players, lied about his sister having an emergency to get himself out of the session, and then decided to trash the whole thing. I don't know what this guy is up to nowadays, but I hope he either learned to communicate better with his prospective players, or stopped GMing altogether. Yeah, I think if you're starting up a game and you're the dungeon master and your entire focal point is having a very well-acted story akin to what happens in Critical Role, you really have to communicate that with your players. Not everyone's a good role player, nor wants to roleplay. Sometimes they just want to play it for the character building aspect. And as a result, you're really rolling a die to see, are the party members I'm going to get going to be role players, and if they are, how many of them are role players, and there's so many factors to take into consideration there. You really have to be upfront with your players. If you want them to roleplay, say, hey, I'm starting up a role-playing game. This is the story, this is the idea I have in mind with going with it. Are you cool with it? And, 90-95% of the time they are. But sometimes you're going to run into a player that just doesn't want to or doesn't know that they're supposed to roleplay. So you really shouldn't expect that to be the case when you start up a session. Otherwise, something like this could happen. Anyhow, that's all for the video. Hope you all enjoyed it. You can check out the source of the video in the description if you want to take a look at the comments and any updates the OP may have posted. But beyond that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you're new to the channel, please give us a like. It'll certainly help us out. And if you liked the content, definitely hit that subscribe button. There's going to be many more videos in the future coming out.